welcome back to Briarwood Kids Ask. My name is Dan Buck. I am the lower school director at the Briarwood School in Houston, Texas. I'm delighted here to have two very, very special people. We have William here in 5th grade, and we have Mr. Glendyn Ivin. Glendyn Ivin is one of Australia's leading directors in television, film, and commercials. Glendyn came to attention with the short film Cracker Bag, winning the Palme d'Or in 2003 at the Cannes Film Festival. Glendyn's first feature film, Last Ride, starred Hugo Weaving and premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival and won Best New Director at the Abu Dhabi Film Festival and the Jury Prize at the Rome International Film Festival. Some of his television credits include Beaconsfield, Puberty Blues, Gallipoli, The Beautiful Lie, Safe Harbor, and The Cry. Glendyn's latest project, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, starring Sigourney Weaver, will premiere on Amazon this year. We're so happy that you can join us, Mr. Ivin. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm now going to zoom in a little bit on Mr. William. So, William, whenever you're ready, you can just start.
Mr. Ivin, do you think having dyslexia has affected your career in any way?
That's a really good question, William. I think it probably has affected me, but I mean, it's affected me my whole life and I've had to find different ways around it. I think one of the things that really drew me to making films is that the language of cinema is a language that I understood. I always had trouble reading and writing, but pictures I felt very confident with. So even though I couldn't read and write very well and still find it very tricky, I've been able to find a different language, like a language of pictures to work with and sound and music. And in that way, maybe it's helped me because I think about things differently. It's never been a hindrance in a way that I can't do what I want to do as a film director. In fact, maybe it's helped me because I think about things visually.
Well, okay. Oh, interesting. I mean, do you want to go on to the next question or like any follow-up things?
No, I can go on to the next question if you like.
Sorry, just don't really know how to interview. Sorry.
You're doing a great job, man.
Okay. How old were you when you figured out you had dyslexia?
I think I was in high school. I'd felt for a long time that there was that I just wasn't. I felt smart. I knew things, and I really liked school and I liked being there, but I knew I was having trouble with the work in a way that I couldn't really describe. And I'm not sure how, because it wasn't a very well-known thing back then, but I remember going to a doctor and them saying, oh, maybe you've got dyslexia, and then going to see someone about that, a person who specialized in dyslexia. And when they talked about what I had and how it was affecting me, it relaxed me because it made total sense. And I had a reason. I guess I had a reason for why I was struggling to do things that everyone else found easy. And from that point, I just went, okay, well, this is what I've got. I kind of felt special in a way because it made sense. Like, of course, I was having trouble reading. Of course, I couldn't write the way that I was thinking I could write. So I just started finding ways to adapt and learn to live with it. And I have ever since, and it's never really been a huge problem for me.
Okay. Sorry, that was a pretty quick. This is actually the same question, but when did you want to start directing? You know.
Well, no, it's a good question. I think when did I want to? I mean, I wanted to be a filmmaker for a long time. I remember seeing films when I was a kid, like when I was 6 or 7, there were certain films that I saw that I really loved, like deeply fell in love with these films. And I didn't know what it was really to be a filmmaker or a director or anything at that age. But I remember thinking in the cinema when I was 6 or 7, like, I mean, I'm probably making these thoughts up, but I remember having this feeling of like, I don't know what that is on screen, but I want to be part of it. It makes sense to me. So it was from a very early age, but I didn't actually become a director till I was in my late 20s. I went and studied graphic design. I was a graphic designer for a while, but always interested in film. And it wasn't until I met some friends or met some people that were at a film school that I could see that that was my path that I really wanted to do, and I really wanted to go to that film school. So it wasn't until, I guess, a little bit later in life that I went to film school, and then after that I've been a director ever since. But I've always worked visually, and it's what I've been drawn to. So when I was a graphic designer, you know, it's not so much reading and writing. It's graphic design is essentially visual communication. So you're communicating with people visually, and filmmaking was an extension of that to me. I was able to tell stories visually.
Also, I've heard things about like someone else with dyslexia saying when they figured out dyslexia. I'm going back to the other question. And like they felt relieved, like that it all made sense now. I mean, I never really felt that feeling, because by the time I was born, you know, dyslexia, it's already, you know, very easy to diagnose now.
Yeah.
I mean, next question, I guess.
How does dyslexia affect you, Dan? What do you do?
So I actually don't
Oh,
have.
sorry, Dan. Oh, sorry, William. I meant. Sorry,
William.
I was just reading.
It's okay. It's all good. No problem.
Yeah. So how does it affect you, William?
I mean, I moved to this school because I wasn't doing pretty well, and this school is for people with like minor learning differences, nothing like too bad, like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, ADHD. I have dyslexia and dysgraphia. Sorry, not dysgraphia, dyslexia and ADHD.
Yeah.
So what?
So how does it affect you day to day? Yeah.
I wasn't doing too well in my previous school, so I decided to go to this school. You know, help me out a lot.
Yeah.
And I've I can't really remember what any of my grades were like. Like I don't know if I've done good recently.
But it's through reading that you find reading difficult. You find, William, you find reading difficult and writing difficult.
I find I'm actually pretty good at reading, honestly. I mean, I used to. My twin brother finds reading pretty difficult.
Excellent. That's amazing.
I mean, I find math pretty hard for me. It's
same here. Yeah. I can't remember any numbers. Like, just they don't make any sense. If I find that if I have to remember, and like I only remember like 2 or 3 phone numbers, and I remember the pattern they make on the dialing, like on the dial, as opposed to the number itself. Numbers probably worse than letters. Like I can't string a string. I can't string numbers together, or maths I just have never been able to even think about. So I've always had to find ways around that.
Yeah, like anything that like involves numbers in math, where like it's like in x equals blah blah blah. Like I don't understand that, you know.
No, neither do I.
I think just x means whatever the answer would be.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find out what that number would be. What is that thing if it was x? But how you work that out, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm sure there's dyslexic people that are really good at maths, though. So, you know, it affects people differently.
Yeah, I mean, dyscalculia, I assume, like, calcula usually means math, or so.
Yeah.
Dyscalculia makes me assume that if you had calcula, it's a little harder to do math than the others.
Yeah.
Is reading a script or screenplay easier than reading a book to you?
Well, that's a really good question. I've never thought about that. For me, they're both kind of the same. I don't enjoy reading. I never have. And so for me, I have to read a lot for my job. And as a director, I love what I do. I love everything about it. The one thing I don't love is reading. So I always put reading scripts off to the very last minute. there's something about reading, and it's probably something from, when I was your age. It's just something I've never really enjoyed, even though I've had really enjoyable experiences reading. It's not something I look forward to. So whether it's a script,
relate. Like I only like purposely read for schoolwork.
yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I would never go, oh, I've got some time, I might read a book because I really enjoy it. It's always, it feels like a chore. But that's the one thing I've really had to, I have to work at it. I have to read a lot. And so reading to me is something I almost have to build myself up to having to do it. And I think because my dyslexia means I'm a very slow reader, and like I take in every word very slowly. And what was described to me many years ago is that my brain is moving forward past where the words are, and it just shuts you down because your brain wants to go faster, but your reading is slower. So I kind of get bored reading. I find reading very boring, even though it could be exciting what's happening on the page. If it's really good writing, then I'll definitely, I'll enjoy reading. I'll enjoy the story. But reading itself is something I've always had a problem with. If I could change anything, I would love to be able to read faster and love to be able to enjoy reading more.
Yeah. I mean, I usually read like at football games, or if I don't really have anything. Actually, at football games, like we built castles out of they left sheds open back then, and like back then they're like, like tall things and like random like things that you have to push forward for football practice. We took those out and like we built stuff with them. I did that at football. But at basketball games, I sometimes get a book, sometimes I just watch it. I'm not really a huge fan of watching sports.
Yeah.
Is how many scripts do you typically have to read before you pick one?
Oh, I'm doing that at the moment. Trying to work out what I'm doing next. And I probably read, well, in the past couple of months, I've probably read, I'm trying to think, maybe 6 or 7 different scripts. I don't know if that's a lot or not many for someone like me, but that's kind of the ones that I'm looking at. Sometimes one thing I do is that I have an agent who helps me choose, and helps me work out what I'm going to do next. And often if a script comes in that I'm not too sure about, if I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest the time or the energy into reading it, I'll get them to read it for me because they know what I like. And if they go, don't worry about reading this, I won't. And if they say, like, but they might go, I think you should read this, then I'll read it, and I'll read it knowing that there's something, that there's something worthwhile to read in it. So one of the things I've been able to do is to get people around me to help me read things because I need to read a lot. And they at least throw out all of the things that I don't need to read, that I wouldn't be interested in. But yeah, I read a lot. I do have to read a lot. Not that I don't enjoy it very much though.
Yeah, that's actually the previous question and that question were actually kind of related. After asking, what do you think about reading? Do you write your own screenplays?
No, I don't really write very much. I'm a director who I have written and directed my own work. But probably because I don't enjoy writing very much, I tend to work with screenwriters.
Oh, that actually reminds me of the original question. I edited it a bit. Oh, go on.
Yeah. What was that? What was the original?
It says, have you ever thought of writing a screenplay?
Oh yeah. And often my job involves writing. Like, so I'll get a script and I write different ideas for it, or I'll work with the writer and put my own ideas through the script. I mean, it's not like I don't read or write. I write a lot. Like like I write treatments, which is how I'm going to approach a project. Like, so you write like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. This is what the music's going to be like. So yeah, it is something I do a lot of writing as my job as a director, but I don't necessarily write the scripts that I'm shooting. I work with writers.
I mean, I don't really know anything about film directing, so a little confusing for me. I mean,
Well, basically, a film director. So I'll do a little exercise with you. If you had a script, and the script opened with a car coming around a corner of a street and stopping outside a house, and a person gets out of the car and there's a dog barking on the footpath, on the sidewalk. Like that could be a script. That could be the beginning of a film. And I'd say to you, what kind of car was the person driving? So what did you imagine?
Considering, like, I don't know why, but I always think of an action movie, so I feel like, I don't know, like some sort of, either like some sort of Jeep, like something black, or like something red, something very, normal, or something very noticeable,
Okay, there you go. That's good. And then the other question I'd ask just quickly would be, what kind of dog? The dog that was barking at the person when they got out of the car, what kind of dog was that?
I don't know why, but I think of a Labrador, even though I don't have a Labrador.
Yeah. So a director, that's what a director does. They make decisions about what people see. And the difference is what the car I thought it would be. Like, I thought of it was like could have been a white 4-wheel drive, like an SUV. And when they got out, it was a Chihuahua that was barking at the person. But another director might say, no, it was a pit bull, or it's a Cocker Spaniel or something like that. Like, these are really basic things. But what a director does is that they imagine words off a page and get specific about it. Because when you're a director, people will say, oh, in that first scene, like when the car's driving around the corner, what kind of car are they driving? What is it? And then what's the person wearing? What kind of street is it? What kind of house is it? What kind of dog is it? Is there music playing? What time of day it is? What time of day is it? So there's all these things that you have to imagine, and that's kind of what being a director is. You have these things in your head, and then you tell a bunch of other people, and then they bring that stuff to you, and then you bring it to life through a camera. But what I imagine and what you imagine and what other people imagine or watching this will be really different, and that's what makes directors different. Like, everyone has their own version of a story in their heads, but a director brings their story, their version of that story to life.
I mean, yeah, I've seen remakes and stuff that is completely different from the original.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. That's a really good example of what a director does. Like, two directors with the same script, and how they can interpret it in different ways, and what, and is it better than the other, or just different, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a really good example.
Oh yeah, I have more questions here. What jobs in the entertainment industry would be very hard to do with dyslexia? My automatic guess.
Would be very hard.
What jobs in the entertainment industry would be very hard to do with dyslexia?
Oh, well, like, I work with, the beautiful thing about the film industry and being on a film set is that you're surrounded by different artists and technicians that do all different things. And most of them, I'd say all of them, you could do even if you were heavily dyslexic. Like, if sound mixers are just working with their ears and with sound. Camera operators are working, like, it's technical, yes, but it's all stuff that you can work through, and it's all visual. There's costume designers, there's production designers. So costume designers, everything that people wear on screen. Production designers is everything you see behind them, like how they're dressed, the locations. All these things could be things that you could do with dyslexia. Maybe you wouldn't want to be an accountant, a film accountant, if you're not good with numbers. But I'm sure there are people who work in all aspects of the film industry that could have dyslexia, and they find ways around dyslexia and make their jobs as and they're as good as anyone else around them.
Oh, I was up that I know that you don't always make action movies, but I feel like CGI would be incredibly hard for me. But there's different types of dyslexia. I'm not good at math. Some people are good at math that are still dyslexic. Some people are good at reading. Some people aren't. Some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but CGI for me sounds incredible. I mean, I do a lot of digital art, but nothing like real life looking. I do comic book art style,
right.
Making
Sounds
something
perfect.
that can be confused to be considered real life is just astonishing to me.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Then if you're finding comic book art or graphic novels, if that's something you're being drawn to, and drawing is an incredible thing. There's a whole world of opportunity out there and jobs that you could do if you're a good drawer. So I'd encourage that. If you want to be in the film industry and if you're good at drawing, you could be a storyboard artist. A storyboard artist is someone who, if you're going to do an action sequence, you draw the frames out one by one. So here's the car here, and then it crashes into another car, and then you cut to the close-up of the person screaming in the car, etc. So a storyboard artist sort of does a comic book of the film for each shot. If you're trying to work out sequences, you should look up storyboard artist. It's a really interesting job. And then the other job,
I was prop making was good. I like
prop
it.
making would be good.
Yeah.
Well, so have a look at conceptual artist as well. Have you watched The Mandalorian, that show?
Oh yeah, I've seen a few episodes.
So at the end of each episode of The Mandalorian, they have over the credits, they have the conceptual drawings, and it's so the director and the writer and everyone sit around and go, well, this world could look like this, or it could have these robots and have this, and someone sort of conceptualize it. They visualize what that world could be to give them ideas and give not only the director and the writer, but everyone in the production an idea of what that world looks like. It's a really, really important job. And if you're good at drawing and interested in drawing and film, storyboard artist, conceptual artist, they're amazing jobs.
Yeah. I always thought of renting a good camera and asking my friends to make a short film or something on YouTube or something.
Yeah, you could do that. But you don't need a good camera. You could just use an iPhone or a cell phone to do it. They're pretty good cameras these days, and you can do a lot with them.
Yeah. I don't really have a phone yet, but
You borrow your mum or your dad's.
Oh yeah, actually, I think I have some more questions. Also, we'll go back to when I said I love mechanical engineering. At my old school, I feel like there was the school that I'm considering going to has several activities. And one of them is in some of them are mandatory. So I chose the laziest option and the one that I'm most easiest. I chose to be the person that builds props and paints stuff. You don't need
Excellent.
Sorry,
That's so good, man. That's a lot of people, when I talk to filmmakers in particular or film schools, everyone wants to be a director, but there are so many other really great jobs in the film industry. And there are people who just make props and paint things and build sets, and they're super important. They're as important as anyone else on set to me, because they actually make what's in front of the camera look better. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for people in the film industry with dyslexia, because you can do those jobs and it's super creative and you get to see your work up on a big screen. So yeah, it's awesome.
And I feel like you've answered this several times already. But what is the best part of directing and what is the worst?
Oh,
I mean, I don't think
Yeah, well, the worst, I think, because I'm in it at the moment, is I don't like reading. I don't like reading scripts, and I have to do it, and I do a lot of it. But it's just, if I had to choose something I don't like, it's reading.
Oh yeah, what's best?
The best thing is everything else. I love every part of being a director. As soon as I started doing it, I knew it was exactly what I wanted to do, and I've never really looked back. I've only ever been a director since I went to film school. And I guess what I like about it is that I get to collaborate, because filmmaking is collaboration. It's working with other people all the time. And I get to work with not only, really great creative and amazing artists, but I make friends with them. And so we make things together. Like you get a bunch of friends together and you go make a film. And it's a real adventure. You get to see cool places. You get to, access to things that you would never normally get access to as a normal person, but as a filmmaker you can go in and see lots of things. I just love every aspect of it. I love editing. I love working with composers, and I think it goes back to what we're originally talking about, was that I've always struggled with normal communication, reading and writing, even speaking sometimes, but the language of cinema and being able to use actors, pictures, music, visual effects, sound effects. It is the language of cinema, and I feel very confident with that. And I love using that language to communicate. So in a way, I found a way of, I'm not a writer, but I use another language, if that makes sense, to communicate and tell stories with.
That's actually kind of interesting. Do we have any more questions? Oh, one more. What are your plans for making the next movie? Probably isn't related to the other questions, probably very different. But
yeah,
just I got this, and I had like one space left over for like the minimum number of questions, and I was curious. So what are your plans for the next movie?
My plans, well, that's what I'm working on at the moment. I just finished a huge project that took me close to 3 years to complete. And I like to get to the end of a project and then work out what I'm going to do next, as opposed to deciding what I'm, years and years before. Because going through a project for 3 years is a huge experience. And at the end of it, I kind of go, okay, I've done that. What do I want to do next? So I'm looking at things like I really want to make something in Europe, like in England. So I'm looking at scripts that might take me there. But generally, like that's on one level, like a physical level of what I might like to do. But generally, I like drama, and I like stories that help me learn about people, about how humans work, about how we think, how we feel. So I'm always looking for stories that give me a little bit of insight into how we work as humans. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm reading lots of different projects and doing that. One of them's quite interesting as far as an adventure goes, is that it would not only take me to Europe, but it would take me to Antarctica, like the South Pole, and a lot of other places in the world. And it's a really beautiful story as well. So I kind of like to think
Antarctica?
about, I'd be down like right down the bottom of the earth, even below Australia. Like we're down under, but keep going and you get down to the South Pole. So and we would actually film there. So it's got me intrigued.
The thing about that is no one owns it, so you don't have to pay any money to film there.
I think different countries have different claims on it. Like that's what we're looking into at the moment. I'm looking into that, so to find out where we'd be able to do this. But anyway, I like the adventure of that. I like the sound of that. It's something I've never done before, and it's also a place I've always wanted to go to. So, and it's a really, potentially a very good story. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about at the moment.
Well, I don't have any questions yet. Like, I don't know what to do.
That's okay.
Well, they've all been really good questions,
sign
man.
off or like?
No, I'll actually sign off. I want to thank you both for this really, really special episode. Thank you so much for your time. Mr.
Pleasure.
Ivin.
This is the first time we did
I
this.
think if you weren't a director, you'd be a great teacher, by the way. Like, you're amazing how you explain filmmaking. It was really, really good. The car driving up and the way you thought of it, I think was perfect. It's really good.
Yeah.
So
Oh no, it was a pleasure. Yeah,
Have we
and
done this
all
in
the
the
best.
past, or is this like the first time Briarwood has ever met a celebrity?
this is the first time, yep, we've had a celebrity. Like,
Sorry, I was confused when you said welcome back to William.
because it's the seventh episode, the seventh episode.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway, this will be in March.
Wait, are we still recording?
We're still recording.
Ah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Probably
this is
shouldn't
still
have
good
said
stuff.
that
It's okay. I'm gonna stop in a second.
No, thank you very much, and thanks, William. You did a really great job. Really good questions, and I love that you have an interest in drawing, and you know, there's so much opportunity for so many great things that you could do. You know, concentrate on your drawing. If that's something you enjoy doing, then go for it.
He's actually
Love
not
it.
an art teacher. He's quite talented. I've seen some of your work before. It's very good.
Well,
So,
you know, that's I'll just say this: like when I was your age, it was through art that that was my solace. Like that was the thing that I felt like I could do, and I had little bits of encouragement from teachers along the way, and I just knew that's what I was going to do. I didn't have to be good at maths or science or any of these things that I struggle with, because I had art, and I've had a career and built a life around being good at art. So it's, you know, it's an amazing thing to get good at. So I encourage it, man. I can see you're interested in it.
Yeah, if you have one talent, like you're really good at building stuff out of like stuff out of trash and like stuff. If you have one talent, if you're really good at one thing, the less other things are gonna matter in like the future. Like the so good things to know, like math is like something that's should be universally known, you know, like
Yeah.
you know, and like because you're met with math in everyday circumstances. Like there's
Yeah.
not much like reading or like writing or like using proper grammar, like may I, not can I. Like just if you're really good at one thing, well, less other things really need.
Yeah, I mean, you still need to know how to do basic maths and writing and all those things. That they're very important things, but you know, you don't need to. If you're not great at them, don't feel. But you just need to know the basics of all that stuff. But if you're passionate about one thing, say it was drawing or building things, that's all you need. I think you're right what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love making stuff out of like bamboo that I have no idea. There's like this bamboo patch in front of my like neighbor's house.
Yeah.
We live next to a ditch. It's like, and there's like a wall. It's like on the back side of the bamboo. I have no idea if it's his. It just happens to be behind his house. So
Yeah.
I go around. I take some bamboo. I have no idea if I'm stealing it or not. And I mean, it's gonna be a problem later. And then I build.
It grows very fast. Yeah, it grows like a weed. That stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I build stuff. I made an actually good bow. Like, you know, like
Oh yeah.
like a working bow out of bamboo and some cardboard and some surgical tubing. I have no idea how we have surgical tubing or why. My parents don't even know. And like it fires pretty well. Like it can pierce
Awesome.
the target, you know,
awesome.
from like a few feet away.
Awesome.
A few other things are
We have to wrap up.
yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you both very much. And we'll see you, audience, next time on Briarwood Kids Ask from the Briarwood School in Houston, Texas. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.